If you are dating, there are 5 major red flags that you need to know about. We will discuss that. Plus, we all got to pad the pocket. The side hustle game is strong. Even with us on Imperfect by Design, we're going to discuss what we do as our side hustles, plus Halloween costume suggestion. Is it offensive or okay? We shall discuss in just a second. Welcome to Imperfect by Design. The truth is, in life, it's not perfect. We have filters, we put on the shiny shine. The reality is, sometimes it can be a hot mess. That's why Imperfect by Design is here to help share stories. You're going to laugh, and we're all going to realize that, in essence, yes, we are imperfect, but by design. All right, so we'll start the show off. I'm KT Harris. I'm a media personality in Washington, D.C., joined by the ever so fabulous Milinda Jefferson.
Hi, I'm Posty with the Mosty.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. So we're going to start off just real quick. We like to honor one person who has been phenomenal as our imperfect hero of the week. And this week, his name is Martell George. And I literally almost started crying when I read this story. Martell George, the story was written by a guy in Charlotte, North Carolina, and his name was Thaden James, the reporter. And he was talking about how Martell, who's never walked in his life, he's in a wheelchair, he decided to join a program called Let Them Run. And these are for middle schoolers, and they're running. And
Wow.
this is a guy that can't even walk, but yet he is inspiring and overcoming a massive amount of hurdles. But what he's realized and what he said is that running sometimes is not just about the act itself of running. It's about teamwork and vision and pride. And he is giving that to these kids. So that's all. Thank you so much, Martell, for being our hero of the week. All right, let's talk side hustle game, padding our pockets. All right, so in this day and age, everyone needs to pad their pocket. And there's lots of options. There's Uber driver. I've got a lot of friends that drive for Uber. I could never drive for Uber because I suffer from ADD, Asian driving disorder.
Oh, my God.
It's true. That in my car is way too messy. Let's see. Poshmark. Are you familiar with Poshmark?
Yes.
Where you take all of your designer items that you do not use anymore, and then you can upsell them and make a lot of money. Like, my stuff is stained, and I don't even know where it's at, so there's no way that's going to happen. And another side hustle, Airbnb. Would you ever do Airbnb?
Yeah, possible, but if I had some rentals, I still have roommates.
I am too scared to do Airbnb because I've had roommates from hell. I can only imagine temporary roommates. It just would be a hot mess. So what is your side hustle? Because I know that you've got your side hustle game is strong. We're Filipinos.
We're Filipino. We have so many different jobs. I mean, I learned from my mom being an entrepreneur. You have to have multiple streams of income. One that I can rely on is definitely doing like focus groups. Sometimes you get paid to kind of like sample new products or see, a new television show, and you kind of like write down things. But I recently just came back from being at Chapel Hill, North Carolina for the Film Fest 919 event. And
that is a great side hustle, girl. Like, seriously, to be able to, like, mingle with movie stars.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool, being able to see, free movies and help out with their social media and networking. It was amazing to be able to kind of support a woman-owned type of business. They were founded by these 2 veterans in the industry. So, definitely you want to keep your eyes and ears open. There's definitely a lot of different ways to have your side hustle on.
Oh, that's great. That's great, though. I mean, like, it's and to me, to be able to do what you love during a side hustle, that to me is the most important thing. My side hustle is I've got a girlfriend of mine that has a storage facility, and I've been helping her out there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of units that have been abandoned. And it's kind of like that TV show, Storage Wars or American Pickers.
Oh, yeah.
And so going through these units, I mean, time is money, space is money. So there's a lot of stuff that just gets thrown out. And I'm like, no. Look, the Filipino in me is like, no, that doesn't go to waste. So I've been taking stuff that would normally go to the trash. Yeah. And I've been like removing it and going, okay, I'm going to paint this and then I'm going to resell this.
Oh, an extreme makeover style.
Listen, I'm the type of person that I can look at just something that nobody else would ever want, and I can see the beauty in it. And that shows in the guys that I date. Oh, speaking of which, I'm going to need an honest guy's opinion on this.
Okay.
Halloween is coming up. And everyone's planning their costumes. And the guy that I'm dating, he's got he's heavily bearded.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there and I was telling him, I was like, you know what would be perfect is if you dressed up like Neptune with the 3-pronged scepter, and just put on a toga. And I was like, it would be great too, because I could dress up like a mermaid. And then after I thought about it, I was like, that's not really the most flattering thing for my figure. And so I need a guy's opinion on this. Paul.
Hey, girl.
Yeah. So my boyfriend suggested as a Halloween costume. And I need to know from a guy's perspective if I really should be concerned. After I said that the mermaid costume wouldn't flatter my figure, he said, you know what you should do? You should dress up like a sumo wrestler.
Oh my God. Oh no.
That is amazing.
I am not amazing. I am not even kidding. He's sitting there going, all you should do is like you could put a little diaper on. You'd have to figure out what to do with the chest. You could put your hair up.
Yes.
No.
Yes, your boobs would look amazing, KT. Come on, you gotta do it.
You were kidding me. You're actually suggesting that I do this.
Oh my gosh.
See, I'm your friend. I'm your friend, and I can tell you to do that as your friend because you've got a great sense of humor, and that's why I love you. And I feel like everybody would think that's a hit. All right? But two things come to mind. If your boyfriend's suggesting that, number one, is he out of his goddamn mind? Don't you ever say a effing thing about whether your girl is big or small or short.
Exactly. Yes.
Exactly.
Duh.
Yes.
I mean, that's 101 shit you learned in 6th grade. But the second thing I was thinking, and it's actually kind of sweet because maybe he must be very comfortable, like in your all's relationship where, he appreciates your sense of humor and he's just kind of playing on that. And he's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to roll with this. I think it'd be really funny if you did this because it would be.
I'm her friend too. And I'm sorry for me, when she first mentioned it, I mean, we're both Asian. So I was like, I was slightly offended. I was just like,
oh, no. God, go get in your safe space already. Holy crap. Halloween is about having fun.
So,
and making fun of yourself.
Yeah, looking sexy, though.
Well, here's the whole irony in that whole situation is later we were talking, and I was saying, it was kind of offensive to me that you're talking about, suggesting to your girlfriend that she dress up like a sumo wrestler for Halloween, just over the top. And so he actually kind of explained it. He's like, I lived in California and I lived in Hawaii, and all the girls for Halloween would just dress up in black lace and look sexy.
They'd be whores.
Well, they would have the slutty costumes. And he goes, I think that it would be great if you just did something that was just funny. And with that said, I was like, okay, now I can kind of see your point. However, I ordered a super slutty outfit and that's coming in next week. So enjoy.
Problem solved. That girl.
I got the black lace and the corset for Halloween because, let's face it, as much as people kind of hate on the girls being sexy, it's an excuse. So,
but who the hell hates on girls for being sexy? They are fired.
I'm all about putting the girls on display. All right, Paul, thank you so much for joining us for the Man Minute. Thank you for keeping it real for us.
My pleasure. I want a theme song next time.
We'll work on that, okay? All right. So if you are dating, we all talk about red flags, and there's actually a meme out that I think is hysterical because it describes me, and it's a picture of this box of red flags and says, see this box that's labeled red flags? I will clearly date that for the next 6 months. So if you are dating, there are red flags. And I'm going to be honest, sometimes we as women tend to ignore them.
Yeah.
Because we really like somebody and our feelings are involved. I'm not going to judge you if you don't pay attention to those red flags, but we are going to put them out there because we all need to know. Now, one of the first red flags that's out there is being too vague. Have you ever encountered a guy that's too vague? The guy that says, well, you know what? I do want to do something. Let's definitely hang out, but I'm not sure what, but sometime in the future, and they never follow up on anything.
Oh, no. No, they have to have a sense of direction.
You're like, I don't even play that.
No, I don't have time for that.
Okay. Ain't nobody got time for that.
No.
All right. So number two is really pay attention to how the guy that you're dating or your significant other talks about their ex. Because if they are slamming their ex and saying, oh, she was crazy, or she was abusive, or, she was just a nut job, keep in mind, the guys that say that or people that say that, they're going to be saying that about you eventually in about 6 months.
Wow.
So that's kind of like it's a little hint of what could possibly happen in your future. Number 3 red flag, a relationship that moves too fast. And I didn't really think about this, but then once I put a little bit more thought, I was like, whoa, that is a red flag.
So it's like extreme honeymoon phase type of thing?
Extreme honeymoon phase. We all want somebody that's that storybook romantic. The guy that shows up on your doorstep to just surprise you and he's got a dozen red roses, or that he's like surprising you with a trip to Paris. Not that that's ever happened, and I would accept that. Sometimes when guys come on way, way too strong, it's because they're just trying to get their trust so that way they can control you. So that's something to be like a heads up. But from what I understand is if you can address it and you can simply say, you know what? Whoa, easy cowboy, slow your roll. This is going a little fast. If they say okay, then they're all right. Yeah. But if they get angry and they go, whoa, I'm a victim in all of this, then that's the red flag. It's kind of waving in the air. Number 4, red flag number 4, okay. Blame shifter. This is somebody that can never, ever accept responsibility for what goes wrong. And we've all been there. We've all seen that one guy that he loses his job and it's everybody else's fault. He gets a traffic ticket. It's the cop's fault. It's your fault. Understand that if a guy can't own his shit, forgive me for being blunt, if a guy can't own his shit, he's never going to own his shit with you in the relationship. If a guy can't admit that he's wrong, that to me is a major, major red flag.
Wow.
And I'm a firm believer of, seriously, I mess up all the time. I'll be the first to admit I mess up. But if you can't admit that you mess up, I'm going to be nothing but frustrated in the future. So that's just, that's definitely a heads up. And the last one is last minute plans.
Last minute plans?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And that's the guy who only calls you up at the last minute. And even when you tell them, you know what, I'm sorry, honey, I got plans. I'm going out with my girlfriend. Yeah. And that's when they hover. That's when they're like, it's okay. I can meet you after your girlfriend, after you and your girlfriend go out. And then he plants the seed. And then, of course, you've had a few drinks. And then you're just like, okay, you can come over. You know what that is?
Booty call.
That's what it is. If the guy's only after the booty call, don't take it unless you really want to get the booty call and
No judgment, but...
No judgment, but if you want a relationship, you got to on the booty call, which is a pretty hard thing to do. All right, well, we'd like to thank you so much for joining us today on our episode of Imperfect by Design.
I have a quick shout out.
You do?
Hey, go Nats! We're going to the World Series!
Woo, woo! This is major, the Nats going to the World Series. DC needs this.
Yes.
We have the Redskins.
Oh my gosh.
We need the Nats.
Yes, it's their time. We have the Stanley Cup with the Caps, and even our, women's basketball, the Mystics, they won a championship. So go Nats. Woo!
Here's to a home run. Speaking of home runs, our next episode is going to be a home run. Do you know why? It's going to be our Halloween episode. So I will be in costume. Milinda will be in costume. What will I decide to wear? Will I dress up like a sumo wrestler?
Sumo, no.
Exactly. I'm definitely not. We'll get the costumes. And we are also going to talk about some of the silliest mistakes that we've ever made. And yes, we are going to admit to doing some pretty stupid things. It's coming up on our next episode of Imperfect by Design. Don't forget to join us on all our socials. We have got, we're on Facebook, Twitter, Insta, and YouTube. And cheers. Drink up. I enjoy my beverage.